welcome here to Talk FCB and welcome back here to the channel, guys. And today's video is coming to you courtesy of the OneFootball app World Cup Guide. And before we do get on with the Barcelona news, I just want to talk very briefly about Portugal, which is the third team that we're going to discuss in this World Cup Guide. Basically 8 YouTubers, 8 groups covering all 32 teams before the World Cup starts. And today we are going to briefly touch on Portugal. Because basically, guys, with regards to Portugal, I just want to ask you one question, and I want to know your thoughts in the comments down below. Euro 2016, Portugal were crowned as champions. Was that a one-off, or can they genuinely contend and be competitive in the World Cup in Russia this summer? You think back to those Euros, yes, they won it, but in the group stage, they didn't win a game at all. They drew all 3 of their group stage matches, and even in the knockout rounds, they only won one of their games in the 90 minutes. All the others went to extra time. Even that final, of course, where Eder scored the winning goal, Ronaldo went off injured. Are they genuine contenders at the World Cup? Are they going to get out of their group? When they get out of their group, can they take on the likes of Uruguay and come out victorious? Or was Euro 2016 simply a one-off for Portugal? Let me know your thoughts down below. And on to the Barcelona news now, guys. We are going to be discussing the France triplet of Guzman Dembele, Samuel Umtiti and Antoine Griezmann. We are going to be discussing once again Thiago Alcntara and some worrying signs really coming out of the club with regard to that signing, and we are also going to be touching once again on the board exactly what's going on there and potentially some positive news on that front, which I tell you now is very much a rarity when it comes to the board. So all that and more coming up today in today's roundup. Let's do this. So we are going to start, guys, with Guzman Dembele, and the reason that I start there is he was absolutely sensational last night for France. Basically, France played Italy in a friendly. Dembele started the game alongside Griezmann and Umtiti. All 3 of those players, coincidentally, on the score sheet for France last night. But it wasn't just about the goal for Dembele. He was absolutely brilliant. He looked fresh, he looked sharp, and it's really good to see what kind of it does, you know, when a player gets the chance to go out there and play football. When he's confident, when he's feeling good, when he's out on the pitch, when he's getting some minutes, he is effective. It is as simple as that. We saw that last night, and it wasn't just a case of, you know, it's an international friendly against a team who weren't that good. They were playing Italy last night, a good standard team, and Dembele really did lit up the entire stadium, so much so that he earned himself a place on L'Equipe's cover this morning as their cover star, which is a big honour in itself, but it really was a brilliant display from Dembele. He had a phenomenal run inside his own half. He ran the whole length of the pitch, showing incredible pace all night long. He was breezing past the Italian defenders. Really, they couldn't live with him for pace. He got into the area, he cut back brilliantly, he had a shot on his right foot, and it cannoned off the crossbar. Really, really unlucky for Dembele, but in the second half, he got his reward. He got the goal that he deserved, and I have to say, what a sensational goal it was from Dembele, again picking the ball up in the opposing third, looking dangerous, gets it on his right foot, gets it out of his feet, and he just curls it. Top right-hand corner, goalkeeper, no chance. It was an absolutely magnificent goal. We've seen it before from Dembele. He can produce these kind of moments, and it just really does hammer home the fact we cannot afford to lose this guy this summer. Do not loan him out. Do not sell him. Keep Guzman Dembele at Barcelona, where he belongs, where he can develop, where we can nurture this massive, massive talent that he has. Because when he's on the pitch, when he gets minutes, when he feels the faith of those around him, he will perform. Valverde next season has to find a place for him, whether it's with Griezmann, whether it's without Griezmann. We have to make sure that Dembele is in the team, staying at Barcelona. We need to put our faith in this young man. We spent a lot of money on him. Now stand by that decision. Stand by it. Back up those claims. Give him his chance. Because believe me, when he's given that run, he has that talent, he has that quality, and he suits Barcelona down to a T. And last night for France was just another example of that. Moving on then now to his compatriot Antoine Griezmann, and it's very, very interesting on the Griezmann front. It has been a quick quiet in recent weeks. There's not been an awful lot being said, and certainly from Griezmann himself, he has been very, very quiet. Over the past few weeks, we haven't heard from him. He's been very much silent, just letting all those around him do the talking. But for the last night, we heard from the first time from Antoine Griezmann, and it was a very interesting statement. It was basically after the game. He was going through the mix zone. He was asked by a lot of reporters, of course, about his future, and he did choose to break his silence when he was asked the following question. They said to Griezmann, "Will your future be decided before the World Cup starts?" And he replied to that, "Yes, yes, we will have a resolution before the World Cup starts. Very, very interesting indeed, and that does mean that in the next week or so, we could be hearing a final decision from Antoine Griezmann himself on his future. Is he going to stay at Atletico? Is he going to leave? And most importantly, is he going to be joining Barcelona this summer? Sports say the club remain very, very confident that we will be signing Griezmann. It is believed that Atletico are doing everything in their power. Coaches, players, fans, they're trying to convince Griezmann to stay, but they believe that it might not be possible, and sports still say Barcelona are in pole position and expect to sign Griezmann, which we could hear about very, very shortly. And then finally, on the France front, it goes to Samuel Umtiti, who also started for France last night, and like I say, he did get on the score sheet as well. It was a really good night for Barcelona players and potential Barcelona players as well. And just some thoughts on Umtiti and his contract renewal. Obviously now, this has been going on for a long, long time. There's been a lot of talks between Barcelona and Samuel Umtiti. These talks have been going on for months now. Umtiti in his mind clearly had a valuation of what he thought he should be worth, and basically his representatives and Barcelona met in Nice over the last few days. They've been talking through, they've been negotiating, and according to Mundo Deportivo, they have now found an agreement. Barcelona are happy to pay a certain amount, Umtiti is happy to accept, and the best thing about all this is, it is very, very close to being completed, and when it is completed, in his new contract, there will be a release clause, MD say, of 500 million euros, which will be a massive, massive increase from that rather worrying, really, 60 million euros that's in his contract currently. So if Umtiti does agree that renewal, hopefully all is on track, hopefully we can get it done, and we'll then see him stay at Barcelona. That's very, very important, but also raise that release clause. That's the key here. 500 million euros would be untouchable, and that is exactly what we wanted. And now we move on to Thiago Alcntara, obviously something that I've spoken about quite a lot now in the last few days, and that is because there is a lot of speculation right now in the German media, in the Spanish media. It seems absolutely clear that Bayern Munich, they're going to sell him this summer. Bayern Munich want to sell Thiago, they're not happy with him, Thiago wants to leave, and it just all seems so easy right now to make the approach for Thiago, to go there, try and get him. I don't think the fee would break the bank, I think he's definitely attainable, the player wants to come, but right now, Barcelona simply do not want to do it. Sports say that the senior members of the club, really key figures in the dressing room, are going to the board and saying, please, 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 go and make a move for Thiago. Bring him back to the club, we want him back here. Barcelona players want Thiago, but the board do not want to do it. MDs say that Pep Segura, the general manager at Barcelona, he believes that no player that leaves the club should be allowed back. But they do add to that story that if Thiago is free, then Pep Segura would do it. So is this about having principles? If you want to say, no player who leaves can return, that's absolutely fine. But stick with that. Don't then say, well, if he's free, we might actually drop our principles. Because is this about your principles or is this about money? If this is about money, what on earth is our strategy here? We paid 40 million euros for a 29-year-old Paulinho coming into the club. We paid 11 million for Yerry Mina, combined 51 million euros on those two players, and yet we don't want to spend maybe a bit more money, very similar, but maybe a little bit more, on Thiago, a player that we desperately, desperately need. A lot of people are saying, do we really need a midfielder? And I think a lot of people are forgetting, we've lost Iniesta, he's not coming back. We still haven't replaced Xavi Hernandez, Rakitic is aging, Busquets is aging. Our midfield right now is in dire straits. We need to do something about it. Thiago is available, but somehow the board do not want to sign him. And Pep Segura is a massive, massive, massive problem for this club. I cannot stress that enough. This is the guy who's more interested in physicality than technical quality. This is the guy that wants to bring in 6-foot players because that's what he wants to do at this club. That's the vision that he has. And there was actually a report also in MD that said Pep Segura was so happy with Longley and he wants to bring him to Barca simply because of the way that he matched Lukaku against Man United. Again, all about physicality. What is this kind of approach? Pep Segura is a massive problem. He's vastly incompetent and he should no longer be part of this club. But the positive news that I will bring you guys is there are murmurs right now in the Spanish media which say that senior members of the Barcelona board are not all that happy with Pep Segura's work, and rightly so, and they are currently exploring the option of bringing in Jordi Cruyff, Johan Cruyff's son, to the club as the general manager, and that would be very, very interesting indeed. Those reports do say though that Jordi Cruyff would want complete control of what happens at the club, what happens with youth development, with the B team, with integration to the the first team and the general running of the club. He would want full control. Whether he'll get that remains to be seen. Whether we'll get him, that remains to be seen. But hopefully, we have to keep our fingers crossed that this summer, the board, the senior members will see sense and part ways with the dinosaur that is Pep Segura. But on that front, we will have to wait and find out. So leave your thoughts, guys, in the comments down below on everything that we have discussed in today's News Roundup video. What do you think of Dembele's performance yesterday? What do you think of the current Griezmann situation? And Thiago, should we be signing him? Should we be pursuing him? And how much would you pay to bring him back to the club and get him back in our midfield? Leave me your thoughts in the comments down below, guys. I will see you soon with more videos. But until then, as always, Vasca El Barça. Barça, Barça.